What I'm about to show you today in this video will literally just be scratching the surface of the possibilities that you can realize by searching this 1960s decade of Lincoln cents. It's probably one of the most jam-packed decades out of any other decade. I would probably do 1950s Lincolns as a close second, but 1960s, ladies and gentlemen, we got to start paying more attention to this decade because there is a absolute Noah's Ark of various varieties to be on the lookout for. From top to bottom, it's pretty crazy. It's insane. So even if you find some of these, okay, there's two conversations we're going to have here. One, what am I looking for? Number two, how do I go about selling these? Because there's going to be some coins that are going to be highly equitable, graded, and they're going to be an easy sell, you know? I mean, when we're talking 1960s Lincolns, the big one is that 1969S double to die obverse. You find one of those, you know, you could have your way with a lot of things. Shopping spree, pay off credit cards, pay off your car, you know, make a huge dent in something, you know. It's that big of a coin. But there are other coins that you could find within the 1960s that you could also, you know, make a good portion of cash just by searching through it. To say that the amount of varieties that you could find within the 60s equals a few hundred would be an understatement. I think there's a lot more in that. Now, we're going to talk in this video about the main ones that you can find today. You know, your 1960D RPMs, the 1969, not 1969, the 1961 D over horizontal D. You know, these are some of the big ones that you could find. And, you know, they're worth more than just a penny, even for coins that are in less than desirable grade states. So let's go ahead and take a look and see at what you can find as far as the big cherry picker's guide varieties that I think is pretty relevant. So we're on PCGS.com. And this is going to provide two different points here when we're on this website. Number one, you get to see kind of like at a you know, that 10,000 foot view as far as what you can expect price wise or value wise for some of these coins when you do find them. And it's also going to let you know, hey, maybe this is a coin that you don't need to grade, or this is a coin that you absolutely must grade because you can realize a whole lot more financial potential from it. So we're gonna just we're gonna go into the price guide feature. We're just gonna go here, Lincoln Cent Moderns 59 to date. And I had done a video similar to this a few weeks ago about just finding really nice red mint state coins, because you can see that at the highest level, you know, they're like $8,000 to $10,000. All right, and that's true realized potential because there's a registry set kind of system in place that supports these ridiculous price levels. But all in all, I mean, this is, you know, this is going to be something that you guys need to be on the lookout for. Now, I'm not going to be, maybe I could go over just a hair, just a little bit so you guys can see it. But here on the left side, you're going to see all the respective dates. Now, of course, when you look also here on the left, you're going to see little plus signs next to a few of the dates. That's relevant because when you click into those, it's going to tell you that there's a few different cherry picker's guide varieties. So it's always important to open up this pane underneath that particular date row, because you get to see and compare the different types of varieties and what their values are. Like if you look at just a regular from 1959 Lincoln and you go all the way across before it gets expensive, like let's say here in Mint State 66, which is a fine grade, that's amazing. You know, you have a value of $30 for just an unattributed example of a 1959 Lincoln cent. But when you go to look at things like the FS 101 and the 104, and then you see these big, larger, giant price tags for the same grade, it kind of opens up your mind to the possibilities of what can be out there. So, you know, the 101, look at that, $850. If you find a 104, you know, they estimated $2,000 because it's a little bit tougher variety. When we go to look at these, I think I'm more interested in what the 104 looks like as a double to die obverse. And PCGS has some relatively nice photos. And if you hover your mouse pointer over the coin, you can get a really nice close-up. Now, on this particular one, you do have a little bit of doubling on the date. You can see the splits on both the 5 and the 9 right there. It's very subtle. I would say that Liberty looks quite nice. You can see the doubling there on the T and Y. But, you know, again, this is so subtle, and a lot of people will generally overlook varieties like this because they can't see it with the naked eye. These are things that, again, ladies and gentlemen, you need a magnifier, or you need a system where you have a USB microscope attached to your computer, and you're just constantly filtering through coins in search of things like this. So this is the FS 104. FS is a Favaz-Stanton number that's attributed into the Cherry Picker's Guide system, and every grader will grade this with the FS listed number. So PCGS, NGC, Annex, of course, if you're looking for top dollar, people generally gravitate towards that PCGS coin grading company. So that's our first one right there. Again, guys, it doesn't look all that impressive. It really doesn't. Here's the 101. This one's a little bit stronger. I actually like this one, but at the same time, this is a coin that you could find a little bit more accessible. So this double die obverse, if we look at the date, considerable amount of thickness. I mean, look at the 1 right there, and then chunky on this particular example. When we go here to Liberty, you can see a little bit of doubling, nothing too crazy on all the letters. And the motto, "In God We Trust," again, showing a little bit, nothing too crazy, but the date is where it's at on this one. Just overall, everything's thicker. The 1 in the date is a whole lot more fatter in size compared to a regular standard 1959 Lincoln set. Now, obviously, your biggest kind of like money is going to be wrapped around full red examples, which, you know, people are still finding these out in circulation. You know, old collections get dumped, you know, into the system with each passing day. Here's 59D, another one with an RPM, a very impressive one. This one I probably wouldn't grade, you know, due to the fact that at the highest grade level, it's only $140. So this might be a coin that you would just sell raw as it is. And it's actually quite nice. So three Denver mint marks were punched into the working die. So the mint employee wasn't 100% sure they were doing a good enough job, but you could see the one prominent secondary Denver mint mark punch is to the east of the primary right there. And then you have another one that I believe is a little bit tilted. So again, that one's quite impressive, but I probably wouldn't grade that. That's a coin that you could easily sell raw on the secondary market, whether it's through eBay or somewhere else. There are dedicated variety groups like buy-sell trades that can, you know, handle stuff like that. Probably the biggest date of the entire 1960s decade has to be the 1960D large date. All right, I know a lot of people give this particular date and mint mark a lot of credit, and rightfully so. I mean, this is kind of like your big date that you want to search through, and that holds true for BU rolls if you're lucky enough to find those, but also anything that comes out of circulation. All right, it doesn't, you know, grade in a sense does matter, but when you could find one that's graded EF or XF, XEF, AU, things like that, I would still certainly take the time to look at these. Now, the coins that are highlighted, of course, there's the 1960 D over D large date RPM. All right, again, another big one. This one is quite strong, but grade wise, I wouldn't grade it. It is certainly worth a lot more than just one that is not attributed with the variety. But when you look at this coin here, you're going to find that it is probably one of the strongest repunchment marks that you'll ever come across. So, do this one a second here. Sometimes it takes a moment for the close-up to generate, but there you go. Check out that secondary Denver mint mark that's punched west of the primary mint mark. Some would say that this one is easily cherry-pickable with the naked eye. Me personally, in my much longer years, still need a jeweler's loupe or a magnifier to look at this thing. But yeah, that's a coin, and then we'll check eBay as well, because this is a coin right here. The FS 502 is the attribution for this RPM. It is a coin that pops up quite frequently on the secondary market. So that's a coin right there that has a good deal of secondary market activity. Another big one that a lot of people need to pay attention to, because these things are being found in circulation and in BU rolls, is this small over large date variety that's only found on the 1960 Denvers. But check out the prices on these. At the very least, in mid-state red brown, you're talking about a $100 coin, but graded, could be a lot more. But that's only if and only if it's full red and you know that it'll hit that mid-state 66 mark. Because if you have a coin that's worth $500, I'd say that's a pretty good win right there. But in case you guys need a little refresher on what this looks like, it's actually not only a small over large date, but it's also an RPM. It's a dual variety. But when you look at the close-up for this particular coin, you're going to see just how crazy messed up it is. Like when you look at the 6 and 0, you can see actually the smaller 0 implanted inside of the bigger 0, and then the 6, you can see the small tail of a small date number 6 on the inside of that large 6 right there. And then the RPM is just north. It's like a ghostly image of a Denver mint mark above the primary mint mark. And then check out the 1 and 9. I mean, this is all knotted up with craziness. I actually own a few graded examples of this coin. They're both mint-state 64s through PCGS. I ended up paying a pretty good premium for them. I think I paid close to $150 a piece for both. Not both together, but separately. So I have about $300 kind of tied up in this particular variety. And I'm always looking for some that are graded better. Like a mint-state 65 will be worth a lot more money. And then as you go up to a 66 and 66 plus, it continues to intensify in value. So that's the 60 Denver small over large date. And of course, 61D is that D over horizontal D. Again, it's a great coin. Me personally, I don't think I need to grade any of these, unless I know I have an example that would grade as 66. That's where you need to be. And the last few 66s have sold for over $1,000, but that's what that one looks like there with the Denver mint mark. Of course, just a beautiful looking coin. And these are actually easy to find in mid-state condition. People are selling these all over online for $20 to $30 in BU red. They might have a few spots on them. But that's another great one there to find. See, 63D holds a very nice, very, very nice double to die obverse. You can actually see this one in the last digit of the date pretty clearly. So again, on this particular type of coin, you probably just want to end up selling it raw. But you can see the inner kind of like that little middle tail thing of the 3 just south of the other primary number 3. And then on the earlier die states, you can actually see the bottom curl of the 3 extend beyond that for the doubled die. So that, again, another nice one. This one is the FS101. This is a coin that you could sell raw pretty easily online. But check this out. Unless you have a 67, which is, it's a tough grade. There might be one in existence at a 67 for that particular variety, but they have a price guide value of $14,500 for a regular one there. And you could only imagine how much a attributed variety version, if it's $1,000 in 66, you might be talking, what, 15 to 20,000 for a mid-state 67? I mean, one can only dream. 1964 holds an incredibly impressive set of doubled die reverses. There are two, the 801 and 802. These are very easy to see. I actually own both. They're actually raw, and they're not mid-state. I ended up paying a good deal of cash for the FS802 because it's just much more rare. But the 801, I think I paid $65, $70 for a coin that was like mid-state brown. But when you look at this, I mean, check out the notching in the S and the E, T, A, even E pluribus unum is all doubled up there. But yeah, all of your, for the most part, a lot of your peripheral devices and letters, especially going up toward the top where it says states, that's where, I mean, that bottom curl of that S, and the top curl too, is really wild. But you'll see it all the way across the top there. This one right here, unless you're absolutely 100% certain that your coin's a grade monstrous, like we're talking mid-state 66 and up, I probably wouldn't bother grading the 64, although it is one of the bigger varieties in the 60s. The 802, this one's pretty crazy as well. It's actually very similar to the 801 in a way, because when you look at the doubling in certain areas, it'll kind of trick you. Now on this one, compared to the 801, you don't have the crazy doubled S serif, but you do have a lot of doubling in a different way. Check out the C and the A right there. The bottoms of Cent and 1, you can see some doubling there as well. And then the tops of United. So yeah, this one right here is pretty crazy. This is one that's not easily found, but you're able to find one in a gem mid-state kind of situation. Congratulations, that's a coin that's worth its weight in gold. 1966. Now this is another tough one right here. I've never personally found one of these, but look at this. When you can realize over $1,000 in 65, that's kind of a big deal. Now there's a DDO and a DDR, so an FS101 and 801 for both coins. And when we look at the DDO FS101, you're going to see that it's not the most entirely impressive coin. It really isn't. You're going to get some doubling there on the sixes. You can see how stretched out the numbers and the date are in there. It looks like it was applied with a butter knife, and you do have a little bit of doubling in Liberty. It's a little bit stretched out there, but yeah, the date is the craziest part of this. But this is an incredibly expensive coin, graded through any of the services, whether it's NGC or PCGS. And if you're able to capture anything above a 63, which not too many 1966 BU rolls exist out there in eBay land today. I mean, good luck finding them at all. These rolls always command a premium, due to these two prospects here. Now the FS801 is pretty nice. It's decent. Again, very, very expensive at the highest grades, but any other grade, lesser grade, probably you just sell it the way it is. Now they don't have a picture on here, but you could go on a website like coppercoins.com or something to look at the close-up images of that coin. And it will touch upon, copper coins and Lincoln Cent resource and all that stuff. So probably the least impressive out of all of them has to be the 69D, no FG FS 901, which is an over-abraded die on the reverse. So you're gonna be missing the initials entirely. No FG. You're probably gonna have a floating roof on those, and surprisingly, they have a little bit of value at the top range of the price guide here. Me personally, I wouldn't grade them. They sell just fine raw. I've seen some sell for as high as 40, 50 bucks on certain occasions for mid-state examples. But yeah, this one's getting a little bit too much credit for what it actually is. Because there are other dates in the late 60s where you have that over-abraded die. And then finally, you have the 69S doubled die. This coin needs no introduction. I mean, just look at the price tags on each and every single grade type, from brown to mint state red, and you'll see exactly what's going on here. One coin ended up selling in the Stewart Blade collection for this amount here, $600,000. So I think they just added that that pricing to a mid-state 66. Finest known, only one known, but there you go. That's kind of like the big chase item. But you see, top to bottom, a lot of coins to look out for. Always, there's always something within the series. And not to mention, I didn't talk about the 68D, RPM, and DDR. The RPM, again, is as strong as that 1960 Denver FS 501, or is it 502? 502. So definitely don't miss out on that. And then the DDR is also pretty impressive, although it's not one of my favorite doubled dies. But you can see that even in lesser mid-state grades, it does carry some value. I think the last one I had sold for like 45, 50 bucks. Ended up being like an AU example. So this pricing kind of like schematic is pretty close to being accurate. I know people ask me, how close is the price guide on PCGS's website? How close is it to being accurate? And I would say it's about 80% accurate in certain occasions, because they do go off of realized prices at auction, and then they modify all of the pricing in here for that. So just as kind of like a little primer here, on eBay, I ended up typing 1960D Lincoln RPM, and you'll find that 427 results come up. And of course, the first one that we see here is a very beautiful Mid-State 64 red in FS 502. Again, that one's $64, and 67 red is kind of like a generic BU grade. It's like the grade that you see pop up quite often. But, honestly, like I said, probably wouldn't even be worth grading if you just wanted to go ahead and sell it, because you'll still sell it for around $30 to $40, and you don't have to pay for the fees of the grading submission, and you don't need to ship it anywhere. You're going to be saving yourself a whole bunch more money by just standing pat and just selling it right on eBay or some other site that's dedicated to variety buy-sell trades. But you'll see that there's a ton. And there's other RPMs as well. Like this one here that's graded by Annex, RPM 52. There is, I believe, in excess of over 100 RPM varieties for the 1960 Denver dated coins. And that's not including the small date. That's just large date. There's actually a few more RPMs that you could find in these small date 1960 Denvers. But you have your 1961Ds, which has a whole bunch of varieties. You do have some in 62D, 63D, 64D as well. So from top to bottom, you have well over 200 varieties, probably closer to 300. And, that's not including all the other doubled dies. That's also not including some of the doubled dies that you could find on the proof coinage as well. It's a very stacked lineup of possibilities for this decade. So yeah, I mean, a few of the websites I like to use if you need to cross-reference photos and attributions, coppercoins.com is always the biggest one. You also have Variety Vista as well. That's Dr. Weil's website. You have doubleddie.com. That's Mr. Wexler's site. And then you also have Lincoln Cent Resource, which is another big attribution guide, and they also have a forum chat page on there as well. Of other people talking about this particular series, not just 1960s RPMs, but all of them. So I hope you guys got a little bit of a takeaway on this video. It's a little overwhelming, and we just talked about the main Cherry Picker's Guide varieties. It is an absolute just treasure hunt. Anytime you pull a 1960s dated coin out of circulation or in pocket change, man, you could be staring at a $5 bill, a $20 bill, a $100 bill. The sky is almost the limit. I mean, the absolute highest ceiling is that 1969S double the Dioverse FS101. And people have found those in change. We've had a few of them here over the last 12 months that popped up just out of going through bankrolls and change hunting. So there you go. That's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully you guys got exactly what you needed on this particular episode and this particular date range of Lincolns. You guys have been fantastic. Again, I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. And as always, we're going to do those three things right there. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell for instant notifications. And I'm also on the platform Whatnot for auction sales. If you guys are looking to get into to buying up some really nice coins or other collectibles, go ahead and check out my referral link down below and receive $15 in credit that you could use right away on your first purchase. But that's it. You guys take care. Have a great one. And keep on collecting. Keep on hunting. The dream is out there.